Welcome to the Redvee TV preview show, supported by A-Star Recruitment for the 2021 season, as we look ahead to a Saints double-header weekend with the men facing Hull FC in the semi-final and the women facing York City Knights in the Challenge Cup final. Kev, a nice Saturday to look forward to. Rugby all day long.
Yeah, wall-to-wall rugby. Two massive games as well. Hopefully we can get the right results in both.
We will get onto the women's game in a bit. Men's semi-final teams have, or squads have been announced, should I say. I think we get straight into it, really. The big news, obviously, is that Mark Percival misses out, but Tommy Makinson and Regan Grace come back in.
Yeah, that's it. As you say, Percy missing out is a blow, and people will start getting a bit more worried about the state of his hamstrings. I think Christian Wolf said he's going to be missing for 2 or 3 weeks, but that's offset with getting your first choice wingers back in, isn't it? Having Makinson and Grace back in is a massive, massive boost, not just for the finishing abilities, the speed, but just the carries that they also bring to the team and the yards they can make when we're kind of in our own 20-metre area.
Is it not just a conspiracy to make sure that Jack Wellesby gets in the 17 every week because you can't find a way to drop him?
You know what? I was thinking about this before the news came out on Percy. I was thinking about how I was going to kind of phrase how you keep Jack Wellesby in over the likes of, say, Aaron Smith or Lewis Dodd. And all the little bits that I was thinking of and thinking, oh, that might sound all right, or no, I won't say that. All gone now because he'll just play left centre, won't he?
Yeah, you'd expect the back line to essentially pick itself, don't you? Obviously, Lachlan at full back, Jack Wellesby on Regan Grace on the left, Tommy Makinson and Kevin Nagama on the right, and obviously your half-back pair, Theo Farge and Johnny Lomax. Good to essentially go in so strong. Obviously, I think we've already said that Mark Percival, when he's fit, is the best centre in the league. But Jack Wellesby is not a bad man to put in as his replacement, is it? It's
not. That's it. Because he's been passed about, it must be tough for him, kind of trying to keep some consistency in his play. And I've always been caught out just once or twice in games defensively. And I'm sure that's something that he'll have worked on. But it can't be easy for the lad being asked to play in. Well, he's played fullback, hasn't he, this year? He's come off the bench when Tommy Makinson got injured after 3 minutes of a game. He's played in the centres. He's played on the wing. It must be difficult keeping that rhythm because it's all very well being in the 17-man squad. But if you've not nailed down a position, a side to play on, it must be really, really tough for him. And the fact that he is only young and he's less than 50 appearances probably for Saints at the minute, it's testament to him that we've got the confidence that he can just go out there and do it.
Yeah, I think for me, that's probably the major positive though, isn't it? That he plays fullback, he slots in at centre, he plays on the wing, and wherever he plays, he doesn't just do a job. He looks really good when he does it.
Yeah, he's a clever rugby player, isn't he? That's it, because he's played halfback in his junior days, and he's obviously played a bit of fullback for us as well. He'll have a good idea of what goes on all the way through that back line. And yeah, it's a positive, and it's good for him getting time out there because, as you say, we'd have shoehorned him into the 17 anyway. It'd probably been the kind of swap for Roby later on in the game. But yes, it's just good to see that a young lad can literally, and he doesn't make a fuss about being changed positions as well. Just gets on with it, and as you say, it's not a case of him just doing a job. He's always dangerous in them positions as well.
Who misses out for you out of that squad then? Obviously, I think you can, obviously the four who will miss out the squad. I think Dan Norman will miss out, Royal will miss out. Where do the other two come from? Is Joe Batchelor done enough to remain in the squad?
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll be Josh Sim, Dan Norman, Royal and Smith, I'd say. I think we'll keep going with Dodd, just to kind of get him more time with the kind of news that keeps breaking on Twitter. I was just seeing one before we started filming about Aaron Bauer saying that Huddersfield are closing in on Theo Farge. So if they're closing in on Theo Farge, we're going to have to put a lot of faith in a young man to come in and play 7 next year, unless we go out and sign someone for a year or two. So he needs game time. So I can see it being Lewis Dodd, who'll be the 17th man there, with Aaron Smith, Sim, Norman, and Royal missing out.
Don't you love Jano talked about the closing in on him? Does that mean like they're currently driving around his house and circling, waiting for him to come out his front door to put him in the boot?
Yeah, just every so often they turn left and get a little bit closer to his,
Yeah, I think over the next couple of weeks, some of the players in the squad who are out of contract, I think their futures will be revealed to us. But obviously, you see the club saying that they're giving them time to decide. I'm under no doubt that Mike Rush, Christian Wolf, all the management of the club will already know exactly who will be there next year and who won't be.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, they're not going to necessarily leave us in a terrible position when it comes to recruitment that we don't know what we need and where we need it. I would imagine that a lot of these futures have been sorted long before now. Contracts that have been signed for extensions, and those who are going probably know that they're going and have known they're going for a good couple of weeks now. They don't just happen overnight. I think is one of the things. I think if you see a contract that's been signed and it comes out, they've not literally sat them down. If it gets announced at 6 o'clock, they've not sat them down at 12 o'clock that day and just said sign that. It'll be weeks and weeks of negotiations, won't it?
Yeah, I think we've known in the past that there's been contracts that have been signed, and it might be like 2 or 3 weeks before it actually gets announced, and essentially wait for a slow news day. And put things out together sometimes. And obviously the media team have their say in terms of putting together packages. Listen, we've done it with players, haven't we? When we've signed players and it's been all over the internet that we've signed them, and it takes a week for the club to release it.
Yeah, exactly right.
Hull squad for this weekend, again, they need to employ someone to actually do it properly rather than just using Notepad. Joe Cater misses out. He's replaced by Connor Wynn in the squad. Scott Taylor, Jamie Shaw, and Massi Batongo all continue to miss out. I'd like to say after last week, we know what we're going to get from this Hull side. The only thing I can say is what we will get from this Hull side won't be what we got last week.
They can't make that many mistakes, errors, bad choices this week, can they? The passes aren't going to go to the ground. They're not going to not play the ball properly, which I think it was Josh Griffin who did that twice last week. They're not going to not run it in as hard because they've got a point to prove. They've got a point to prove to themselves, to the coach, to the fans, and to turn around to Saints who they might think, you think you've already beaten us now. Well, you haven't. That was an off day, an off performance. Everybody has one. We're going to turn up and we're going to give you a proper game. It cannot be as bad as they were last week, surely.
Do we, as a fan base, are we lulled into a false sense of security because of the performance last week and the result?
Some people be. Yeah, some people will be, but I think, listen, if we play it as well as we did in that first 50 minutes and then control the game for the rest of it, then I almost don't think it matters what Hull bring, because I think that was the best 50, 60 minutes of our season. And then we controlled the game. It they never looked like troubling us and getting properly back into the game. That's it. I'd err on the side of caution. I think it'll be tighter this week. But people will get carried away and people will think, oh, well, we should go on and we know what they can bring and we should push our game a little bit further. But it's semi-final rugby. And when you get to this stage, you have an off day and all of a sudden you're out the cup and you're wondering how.
Yeah, for me, see this game as being very, very close. I see us being nervous in our performance just because I still think there's a little bit of a mental block when it comes to the Challenge Cup with us because of the way things have gone. You only have to look at maybe the semi-final against, was it Halifax? And that was nervous in the early parts. We don't seem to perform the same as we do when it's a league game. We just seem to look that little bit more nervous because we know what's at stake. So I see this being a close one. I see us winning, but I don't think it's going to be by a double-digit scoreline.
No, I actually, just to drop it in, I spoke to Liverpool live radio station last night and I predicted us to win by 8. So I think it will be a lot closer. I think you're right with the nerves. There's almost more at stake, isn't there? It is the winner takes it all and gets to the final. And I think that's what we can be nervous about. It doesn't seem necessarily to fall over into playoff rugby, which is weird. But as you say, like when it comes to the Challenge Cup, there's just something there that the pressure is almost so great on us winning it again after so long that it seems to seep into our performances. Not even individual plays. It's almost like as a whole, for some reason, we get a little bit of stage fright almost.
Yeah, absolutely. My thoughts on it. Yeah, I'd go 8 as well. I think we might have to put a bit of money on that one. 6 to 10 Saints.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hull will have a point to prove. They can't play as bad as last week, but hopefully we'll pick up as well. Right, that is enough of the men's semi-final. But first of all, you'd call it a curtain raiser, but it is entirely not. It is the Women's Challenge Cup final, and Saints will face the York City Knights and hoping to bring the first silverware of 2021 back to the Totally Wicked Stadium.
And there is absolutely no reason they can't. That's it. This team have played together for years. They've added a little bit of experience and quality in the likes of Hardcastle and Woozy and Stott. They've added them players to kind of take them to the next level. And this has got to be the start of that next level. There's absolutely no reason why the Saints women's team cannot, on Saturday afternoon, all get on the beers if they want to and enjoy winning the Challenge Cup and bringing it home.
Potentially showing the men's team how it's done.
Correct.
Yeah, I was talking last week about when we first started going watching the women's team in 2017. And I watched the semi-final against Leeds, and the rate of pace on progress in the game has been absolutely phenomenal. It's like a different game than a few years ago. Really good to watch, really enterprising, attacking rugby, and some real star quality there. I know Amy Hardcastle had a really good game in the centres in the semi against Leeds. And it's really good to see the women's game being showcased well, I was going to say internationally, probably is international because a lot of people around the world will be able to see the BBC, but on a national platform, live on BBC Two. And do you know what? For the blood, sweat and tears and the efforts that a lot of these women have put in over the last few years, because at the end of the day, they're not paid in a lot of ways. That they do it for the love of the game and the love of the sport. And they do it tough, and to actually get the rewards this Saturday to play on national television, a chance to bring the trophy home to St Helens. Do you know what? It's like it's the thing dreams are made of for anyone, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's everything they deserve as well. That's it. I believe that listen, no one wanted to go into lockdown with everything, but it kind of helped them along. I've spoken to one or two of the squad, and they've said their fitness has gone up a level because of the lockdown, because they had to kind of work at it and keep fit. The fitness levels have actually gone up, which has helped them to kind of get over the line. So that the likes of the semi-final, it's kind of helped them through that last kind of 20 minutes, where in previous years they might have just been lagging and really hanging on for dear life. They still had the energy to kind of keep going. And that's good to hear, as you say, the step up, and it will continue to keep doing that. As long as it's afforded the chances that it should be, it'll continue to grow and grow and provide a good alternative to watching the men's game as well. When we first started watching it, I said it was almost like 80s, 90s style rugby, where it was a lot more open. There was a lot more kind of skill involved, rather than when you see sometimes with the men's game, it's a little bit monotonous, where it's you kind of give it your big men, you just go forward, and then all of a sudden your backs get involved. It was a little bit more, no, you know what, we're going to throw it out wide a little bit earlier. And it was good to see. And that's it. It'll be interesting to see how they tackle this game with York having signed, was it 7 players since the start of the season, as well as getting a new director of women's rugby. I suppose if you'd have told me a couple of months ago that Saints were going to play York in the Challenge Cup final, I'd have said Saints will win by an absolute hatful. Not necessarily the case anymore.
No, again, like the men's semi-final, this one's going to be quite close. Obviously, I've seen a lot of that York semi-final, and they were really good on the day as well. But you're quite right. The way the men's game is now, it has gone into a bit of a little bit of a bashathon, hasn't it? Your forwards take 3 or 4 drives in, and then you might put a play on maybe the last tackle or two. With the women's game, it's a lot more running the ball, trying to get the ball wide, and play an enterprising game. So it's become a really, really good watch. And hopefully the Saints fans who have been lucky enough to get tickets for that semi-final on Saturday will get in the ground early and roar the girls in the Redvee home. Yeah,
hopefully so. That's it. I'd imagine most of them will. It's good that our games kind of are back-to-back as well. So they've not got to, it sounds terrible, but people might not necessarily want to stay for the other semi-final. So the fact they can see 2 Saints games, one after another.
Kev, am I imagining it? Or did they do that the other year where they put the women's game on first, one of the women's game on first, and then put Saints men's team on last?
Yeah, I think they...
Was that at Bolton?
Yeah, it would have been at Bolton, yeah.
Yeah, and we called them fit to burn for that, didn't we? I think the RFL. So at least they've seen common sense and grouped the 2 Saints games together so that everybody can leave wire and cash to it afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Right then, hopefully a successful weekend is on the horizon. So good luck to all of the Saints women's team, and hopefully the men can double up and get us to the final as well afterwards. But not us though, Kev, because we haven't got a ticket, have we?
No.
Weren't lucky enough in the RFL ballot.
No, I'm waiting to see if I can get a Warrington one, if I'll get 3 out of 3, but I'm not entirely sure on the Saints ballot. I think 2 out of 3 would be fair if I'm lucky enough. Brilliant, but yeah, not lucky on the RFL ballot, and we'll see what happens for the next home game.
On the plus side, we can do an instant reaction on Zoom straight away afterwards.
Yes.
And you can have proper refreshments because the bars aren't open at Lee.
Yeah, that's true. I can, yeah. And it won't be as expensive as well. Yeah. Don't have to take a picnic basket in, do we?
Yeah, obviously, if you are lucky enough to have got a ticket for the semi-final on Saturday, make sure you roll the boys on. Check out the rules on the RFL website, because obviously you can take food and drink in. You don't want to be getting in there for the women's semi-final at 10:30 and find out that you've took nothing in with you and you're going to perish.
My problem though, Dave, is if I took a load of butties in with me, I'd have eaten them by half time in that women's semi-final and be starving by the end of the men's game.
See, Kev, that's my issue. If I went into Lee's Stadium at 10:30 in the morning and didn't take any food or drink with me, I think I'll have wasted away by 3 o'clock.
Fair enough.
Right, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and we will catch you Saturday for hopefully a double winning fan reaction. And if not, we'll ignore the men and just cheer the women. Catch you soon.
Correct.